and welcome to another episode of He Said, She Said. Today's topic, we'll let Odie give the premise of it.
All right. So, one of my favorite things about being on He Said, She Said is our ability to be very flexible. And today's show was initially kind of planned to go one way, but I do want to take time out. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be very transparent when I say this. Everybody that knows me knows that my family has been kind of going through some things with my grandmother. And I really want to talk about like aging parents and grandparents. What is your ideal situation look like when you think about the care for them? I think people have a really strong opinion about this one way or another. Some people are like, oh, well, that's the elder. Like, we have to let them live at the house. But then, like, what does that look like? Like, what exceptions are made? Do you feel guilty if you put your grandparents in a home? Like, or your parent? Like, whoever's aging in your family as far as elders are concerned. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings on this?
Um, just from, I guess, a grandchild looking in, my grandmother, she had a stroke at 34.
Right.
Yes. So that stroke caused her to get divorced from my grandfather. So she just turned 79 last week. So for 40 years, it's always either been her husband until they divorced or one of the kids constantly rotating care for my grandma. So lately, the issue has been she has really been deteriorating. She doesn't want to do physical therapy. That was kind of one of the issues we had 10 years ago. And because of her not wanting to do physical therapy, it's now haunting her now. So my dad was going to put her in a nursing home a few months ago because he works overnights, and my stepmom, she's in school, so she kind of just took a back pedal to that. So he presented that option to the family, like, look, I can't do this. I can't work overnight. I can't raise my stepson and be able to take care of my mom because it's just getting too much on me. So he presented the option to his siblings, and then my aunt now is moving here to North Carolina to help him out. But it can be bad. It can really be. It could be great, you want to help out your parents, but it can also be bad because it could affect your life. It possibly could make you get divorced as well. Financially, it's a lot of things, but what are your
Well, after my grandfather died, my grandmother, she was well for a while, and it did seem like she started to deteriorate as a person after he died. I guess she didn't really have a purpose for living. Maybe, I don't know. They say that happens a lot with elders, but so she got to the point where she started developing symptoms related to Alzheimer's, dementia and things like that. My mom has her own mental health issues, and I guess she found it very difficult to, care for her on her own, going through what she was going through with her issues, her complicated issues in her life, her multiple psychosocial stressors. But she moved her to Charleston because my grandmother was from Dillon. She moved her to Charleston, and she was taken care of in a nursing facility that could address her issues. And she had issues of not wanting to eat. She had issues of not addressing her ADLs or activities of daily living. And that was just the most appropriate choice based on, their skilled staff that can address those complicated issues, especially as the symptoms of their dementia or Alzheimer's might become more complicated. As my mom's background is chemistry, not nursing.
But she still like looks at it in a scientific way though. But it's just so basically she has the science knowledge, but she doesn't necessarily have like the skills that nurses need as far as like patience levels and knowing how to do like. And that's the thing. Like I always think about just again like going back to my circumstance. Right now we're dealing with my now 91-year-old grandmother. She is definitely a fighter, so she has the will to live. We kind of talked about, I think, Blue, you were saying something like, sometimes they have like that will to live. They don't really want to be around, and I think that's why they stop eating at a certain point. But in my grandmother's case, she loves to eat. She loves sweets. She's not chasing any of those things. But she cannot live on her own because when she does live on her own, she's not eating properly. She's not taking her medication. So she needs someone there to remind her, like what year it is and like things like that. Like sometimes she's aware of her surroundings, other times she's not. But I do think it's really important to be realistic with yourself as far as like families are concerned. Are you really going to be a caretaker? Also, how many siblings do you have?
Yeah.
How is everyone like willing to take on this responsibility? Because, you know, if everyone does their part, it's certainly not as overwhelming as it can seem. And, you know, when you have a smaller family where it's like one or two, you know, family members, you know, it can seem very overwhelming. And I just think it's kind of funny too that sometimes family members perceive their weight to be much more than it is.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like you have like a brother, for example, like not that this is my case, but you know, you might have a brother that's like, oh, but I always do X, Y, and Z for mom. But they don't necessarily recognize like what their sibling is doing and how they're contributing. And so I just want to know, I think one thing Mercedes said in our group chat the other day, and that's why I wish she was here to kind of chime in. She's so feisty. But I wish she was here to chime in because she said something along the lines of we, like grandmothers especially, have been known to like take on grandchildren and raise them as their own. So it is our duty kind of to return the favor when they get older. But I don't know that it's necessarily the same thing. And I just want to know if you guys feel guilty, like about not.
I think it's also cultural because if you think about it, maybe with, I'll give you an example, Hispanic family, they're all living together, and whether it's the mom, I'll give you an example. My best friend, her grandmother moved from the Dominican Republic because she wasn't doing so well, so she stays with her mom, and it's kind of just like automatically known in the Hispanic culture, you have to take care of your elders. And I think maybe a couple of generations ago, as far as the African American culture, I think we also had that type of logic. But I just think now with technology and the way things are changing, I don't know if, because I'm not just hearing this from you, there's other people that are like, why do I have to feel entitled to take care of my grandmother? There's nursing facilities, there's things there that can be able to help them out. So why do I have to do that? I don't know, just maybe we don't feel a sense of, this sounds bad. I'm trying to make it sound great, but
it's about facing the reality. It's about facing the reality.
You want to have a life, and then taking care of an elder, you're basically stuck to the house. Like my dad, he hasn't went on vacation in a year, and the last time he went on vacation is when I went to watch my grandmother for 4 days while he went to D.C.
You hit the nail on the head right there. Okay, so again, like tying it into my own personal circumstance, my grandmother, like I said, you know, is 91 now. And when she was my mother's age, which is, you know, mid-60s, I'm not going to put all her business out there, but, you know, this woman went to Atlantic City heavy every weekend. That was her shit. Every day, all day, every day, Atlantic City was her thing. My mother has not been on vacation in a long time, and I'm forcing her to go on vacation because now, you know, again, because my grandmother can't live alone, we know that she'll be in a safe place when the time comes. And it's just like how, like, this is just so crazy to me, like how guilty we feel. And something you also said, I think, ties into like where we progress as a people. We're only a couple of generations removed from like poverty, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I think with that financial freedom now comes the freedom to say, okay, well, let me go ahead and now I can afford an extra $600 a month to contribute to taking care of my grandma or taking care of my parents, to go ahead and put them in a facility. I do think it's a problem if you kind of just leave it there. Like, no, your responsibility should not end there and just say, okay, well, I'm financially taking care of this person. I mean, they're still a person. They're still somebody you love.
Mistreated.
Mistreated.
Who's to say that you as the caretaker, if you took on that responsibility, that you would do the mistreating, not purposely, but negligently, like you don't have the skill base to address their issues. I don't know how to turn a person to make sure they don't get bed sores. I don't know how to change diapers of an adult person. Barely want to do it with a 1-year-old, you know?
And we also have to be realistic too. Like we like to romanticize how our loved ones were and think that they're still in there. But
Right.
the fact of the matter is, the more you age, the more
You regress and become like the child
exactly.
instead of the adult that exactly. And that's like with my grandmother. I hate to admit it, and in hindsight, I really do regret it. When she started developing symptoms related to dementia, I pulled back because when I went and visited her, she didn't really recognize me. She remembered me by my middle name. If I sang a song that she remembered when I used to be a rapper, she was one of my biggest fans. You know what I'm saying? And but for the most part, it didn't click. Debbie's son, Philip's son, you know what I'm saying? Marvin's cousin, Marvin Senior's nephew. I mean, there's a lot of things you want to click. Remember, I used to always eat this. We used to shell peas on the thing and talk shit with Aunt Vera all the time in the summer. You know what I'm saying? Every now and again, it might click. It might be
Right.
oh, Christopher, Felipe. But for the most part, it wouldn't click, and it hurt me to my heart. So I pulled back. Felipe, why you ain't come home to see Grandma? I don't feel like it. I'm not going to Charleston this weekend. And then when she died, then boom, it all hit me.
At the
Damn,
funeral,
I shoulda, woulda, coulda. And that's the problem with shoulda, woulda, coulda. You shoulda. You wish you woulda. Damn, you coulda.
And then I'll even throw some. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think it also goes back to the change in generations as well. Now, I mean, working in the mental health field, we see kids, 14, 12 years old, maybe 17, 18, disrespecting and talking down to them, but not just that. If you work with them individually, you'll see it's a long history of family hurt and pain. Happened to me, grandma let that happen to mom or what have you, and then you have resentment and just a long history of anger. I've seen that a lot, and I guess the question is, how do you push past that when it is time for the grandmothers who are raising the grandkids or whoever it is that they're raising, how do you overcome that in the aspect of who's going to take care of who? But
I think you hit the nail on the head as far as degrees of separation too, because I've noticed my mother is way more likely to feel guilty or have feelings of guilt than I am, where I'm no, do you, Mom? I'm not judging. If, her sister calls, then ask her sister to get on a plane, or if she tries to challenge you or say that you are not a good child, a good daughter, then have them call me because I will defend you. And I've noticed I'm way more defensive of my mother's feelings and protecting her feelings than I am of how other family members are feeling. So I do think it does matter, where you are on the spectrum. Grandma to grandkid, it's different from mom to child.
Right.
Way different.
Mm-hmm.
And to touch on the mom to child, so up until my mom's passing a year and a half ago, I was technically the caregiver. Now, mind you, she was in New Jersey and I live here. I have a sister that lives in New Jersey, and but to be fair, she's 19, so you couldn't really expect much from her. But I had family members that were up there that didn't really care for my mom, and at the time of her passing, it was unexpected. But I expected other family members to step up. Nobody stepped up when she originally went to the hospital and had a heart attack and everything happened. So, but before that, I was sending her money. It was nobody was going to visit. And then at the funeral, and I hope you guys don't ever have to experience this. Well, one day you will, but hopefully not.
No,
soon.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but it's just you get all these people that come up to you oh, I miss your mom. She was just this wonderful person. I'm where were all of you? Why am I taking care of my mother and I'm freaking 500 miles away? And you guys are in New Jersey and nobody wants to be bothered because A, she has a mental illness, and B, she has HIV. So because of those two stigmas, you don't want to be a caretaker for her or at least assist me in that process. So, OD, you definitely hit the nail on that as far as the mother-child aspect as well.
Bam, what you got?
I was listening to because when it comes to the stigmas of past transgressions and past pains and things of that nature, it's not just in the Black community, it's in every entire family. When there's something that an individual did in the past and then they transferred that over to their kids, or they transferred that over to, it's a continuous cycle of pains when it comes to individuals that don't want to deal with something and deal with problems and issues that were in the past. So if you don't want to sit there and deal with something like that, that's where individuals sit there and say, because I bring up an instance when it comes to my aunt. Like back in the day, her and my aunt, my mother didn't get along, and it transferred over to myself and my cousins. But lo and behold, is that me? I'm an outspoken individual regardless of anything. So I sat my mother down, sat my aunt down, sat all my cousins down, and I'm like, we need to hash this out. We need to hash it out right now because I don't know what's your problem, and I don't know what your problem is, and I don't really mean to be disrespectful, but we need to hash this out. So because we family regardless of anything. Family is always first. So if my mother had an issue with something that my aunt did to a boyfriend that she was with years ago and still didn't get over it, and my aunt had an issue with my mother of not giving her some money when she needed some money to take care of a bill or something like that when they were coming up, which made no sense to me. But they didn't hash that out. They tried to transfer that over to myself and my cousins, but I'm not the one to have it. So when it comes to people not taking care of an individual, I personally think that it's past pains that individuals sit there and deal with, like, oh, I don't want to deal with that. That ain't my problem. That's not true. Because, like I said, family is over everything. So when you have a family member that has an issue or a problem, you take care of that issue. And if they try and take advantage of you after the fact, then you take care of that too. But family is always first. Always. And never always. So to you saying like individuals didn't want to take care of your mother while she was in Jersey, I would address that in an automatic address, because that's unacceptable. Unacceptable at all. Pure unacceptable. My grandmother is in Fayetteville, and next weekend I'm going to see my grandmother because she's here in Fayetteville. My grandmother just had 2 strokes. She's living in a home right now, and the house that we put her in got bed bugs, so I got to go take care of that. So it always falls on somebody, but after it falls on you, I would automatically address something, because you don't want that to weigh on you and transfer that over to somebody else.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to get at. Just the stress levels involved with caring for yourself, your spouse, your children, or your children, and then adding on, a aging family member. I mean, because this is another thing I think that people don't consider is when you have a parent or a grandparent that is older, they want to do stuff the way that they want to do it. It's not that in a way. Even though it's a lot like a child because they are regressing, they are still set in their ways, and they're not trying to hear anything that you have to tell them that is in their best interest. And yeah, that's super frustrating, and it can be very stressful. So I hear you there for sure.
It's not only stressful, it can be extremely hard, because my grandmother was extremely independent, as in I don't even know if she does it still. No, she probably doesn't. But she took trips to Jamaica from the time she was 30. She was 30, taking trips to Jamaica. This was yearly. So she's been taking trips to Jamaica, and she's 78 right now. Trips to Jamaica.
She had a Jamaican lover for sure. The only women I know that go to Jamaica on the regular like that.
My grandmother that's why she's tight. Evangelist. She is holy now. She's a Jesus person. She loves Jesus.
Okay. What goes on in Jamaica stays in Jamaica.
Nobody like But she was always independent. Always independent. She drove where the heck she want to, because she, she had this still got this pretty van that still sits in the driveway now. But she was extremely independent. But the good thing about my grandmother, when she knew that she needed myself, or like before my father passed away, when she needed my father, she would call on us, because she knew that I was stationed in Fort Bragg, and I was just a phone call away. All she needed to do was call me, and I'm coming. My father, if she needed my father would just automatically like, all right, Mom, hopping on the plane, I'll be there, or he'll drive down. So it was an automatic thing. But she's still extremely independent minded, but she knows the things that she can and cannot do because of the stroke, and the fact that she still can't walk and put any pressure on her left side. So her whole entire left side is numb to feeling or anything of the sort. So she still can't walk. And I'm still hoping and praying that she does. But you know what I'm saying, she still need helping out. Well, gotta take off next weekend. I'll be there. But
is she doing physical therapy?
She does physical therapy, and prior to like her not having feeling on her left side, she didn't want, like, her whole right side didn't want to, like, start functioning, but her right side is fully functional. I'm just waiting on the left side to kick that butt in and do something. But she's real independent. She's still hard headed, no, but
it sounds like one of them Van Lowry people.
Hey man, I gained it honest. So yeah, she's hard headed than a mother. Love her to death, but she hard headed than a motherfucker. Oh my goodness.
Okay. It sounds like she's loved. Sounds like she's really loved.
I ask you guys this: if 50 years down the line, I'm being very generous there, but we're just gonna say 50 years.
After Trump again? You mean I guaranteed a year?
50 years down the line, though. Do you guys have a plan of action or an expectation on your own children or your own grandchildren? How do you feel? Like, do you feel like, I
don't think I did right by them enough for them to justify keeping them taken care of it.
They're gonna have their feelings. Like, would you feel like, oh man, like I raised these kids and damn, they're not thinking. Obviously, you don't feel that way.
I wouldn't even want to put that pressure on my kids. I'm an ornery man at my current age. I can just wonder what I would look like in 40 years.
That part right there.
I would feel for my daughters. You know what I'm saying? They got to put up with me now. Why they going to put up with me? They have to put up with that 40 years from now? Oh, no. Well, way too sexual, way too mean, got a sugar habit out this world. I'll stay up all night but sleep all day. No. I love them too much to put them through that.
And honestly, like with all of the information we know now about health and so forth, I actually have been thinking about this a lot lately. And I've been talking to my own parents about getting themselves together, like get in shape, start eating right, eating better, things of that nature. I mean, eventually you're going to come to a point where you're going to have to need some type of help, but people just letting this stuff go, period. And it's starting, earlier than later when a lot of, with all the information we have now, and a lot of the issues that the older people were having back in the day, to be honest. But I do expect when I do have kids, they better take care of me. I'm gonna take care of myself.
That's why we need to ask these questions. Like, what's the expectation here? What about you, Tay? Like, what do you think?
Well, I had a personal talk with God. So I told God I want to have my 101st birthday, and then that night in the hotel, I want to croak over. That's what I want to do. So I want to be able to still drive until I'm like 90, 95.
Right.
Yes,
well, by then they'll probably have like the self-driving cars, so it's possible.
But my sisters, both of them are 12 years younger than me, and I treat them well. So I know if I don't have any kids, they'll definitely take care of me. But just having that plan, even I was just talking with my financial advisor today about my life insurance and going through all that rigmarole, and at least making sure that the future generation is set. Like, look, when I croak over, y'all gonna be set. So make sure you take care of me. Or last minute, I may take your name off the policy.
This is
I'll remember this. So I think
not to be funny.
Have a plan.
Mercedes.
Yeah, I don't want to tell nobody that they on the wheel yet, because you might try to take me out sooner than I need to be taken. But yeah, it's I think based on my mother's experience, she's made her expectations very clear. She said, look, if I get to this point, this is not my expectation of you, because I'm her only child. So this isn't even like, I can't even share these responsibilities with anybody else. So she's made it very clear. She said, look, I'm having a good time now. I'm trying to anyway, so, hey, you live your life, enjoy yourself. But I already know, like, realistically, that's not happening. She was just like, come visit me sometime. That's her expectation. As far as for me and mine, I don't have any children. So I just want to try to make as much money as possible and make sure that I have a nice swinging seniors facility to live in, and just pray that if I need assistance, other people are kind. That's all I can ask for. And cross that bridge when I get there.
Stocked up on some Viagra, right?
I'll probably just want to cuddle a lot by that age. That's fine. I don't want to break a hip.
Cuddling leaves the fucking
Yeah, no, I don't want to break a hip trying to.
Just don't go to Florida. That's some diseases.
Y'all broke up. Oh, my hip.
Exactly. I don't want none of that. So, yeah, I mean, it's just something to think about. I think we live in the here and now, but like everybody's taking better. Each generation gets a little bit better at improving themselves and improving their way of life, their quality of life.
That's fine, but look at all the environmental stresses that's going on right now. The polluted water. I love seafood. I would love to be a pescatarian, but I can't. Sodium and all the pollutants in the food that we eat. As much as we may be, we're not. I mean, I'll be honest. I ain't seen a gym in a minute.
Oh no, I'm not. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? I don't eat right. I live off of salmon, that has the highest carbohydrate. I mean, the highest cholesterol uptake. You know what I'm saying? But I eat it every day. I eat it for breakfast. I eat it for lunch.
Look, people that eat. There's people that drink and smoke and eat hot dogs every day.
Hey, I know
and
that.
Live to 100.
Yeah,
So I mean,
I used to work in Person County. They have a lot of centenarians, but all them fools eat is pork, beef, and bullshit, and they live to be 100 years old. And you know this to be true, Chastity. You know the population up there. They ain't living right, but they sure do be living to be 100.
I just want a good quality of life. Like I don't want to be in pain. I'd rather go in my sleep. That's really interesting because being like visiting my grandmother in the facility, I noticed like I could tell like kind of the people who are like ready and who have accepted death compared to the ones that are fighting. And apparently there's a term for it. It's called sundowning. The people that are not ready to go, they're usually sundowners, and they start to get like really agitated at nighttime. And I think the psychology behind that is like they're afraid of like death as a grim reaper. Like, oh shit, like death is coming at night. If I close my eyes, then then death can take me in my sleep. But to me, that's the way to go. I want to go peacefully in my sleep, just not wake up, and then that's cool. Like I just don't want to be in pain. That's it.
I'm the same way.
I don't know, just should
not wake up.
That's cool. But
So he's got most of
they're like, no.
Nah, fuck that. I ain't got that period.
I'm gonna go out swinging. Swinging.
Okay.
Dirty old man. Swinging that damn man. Look at that. It's nasty.
That would be so traumatic to have somebody die like while we're doing it. Oh my god, I'd be traumatized.
I'd be shocked for life.
If you did that.
Yeah, no. That title. I do not want that title. Nobody, I would never get none. I would be cursed if that's the case, because I'd never get none. Exactly. They'd be like, don't ever get her none, she'll kill you.
Oh, no, you got that good. No, that's the thing, though. It's like,
get that good.
And one week they strain and kill everybody. They're like, I gotta get that shit.
I never died.
Oh, exactly. This will be a serious topic. Let's get back to that. Yes, the old people.
Hey, we all gonna be there one day. It's funny though, because I finally like my grandma. She just turned 91 on April 2nd, and so we went over there, had her make the phone calls to her sister, her nephew, give everybody the rounds. She's getting on the phone with everybody. Oh yeah, I'm getting old. I said, Grandma. I said, if you getting old, then what is old? Like, what is? She thought she would die laughing. Yeah. Well, that was probably a poor choice of words, but you know what I mean. Like, she was really tickled at that joke. But
you lucky you ain't kill on that joke.
That's what I'm saying. But yeah.
91. That's good though.
Oh, 91. Yeah.
Got all her faculties and everything.
She's in and out, She's in and out.
Well, think of what's her name, Cicely Tyson, and she's a vegan, And she's like 93, and she still does yoga every day. Oh my gosh.
She doesn't look 93. She looks.
To be fair, she's looked the same for 50 years, but I mean, well, she played the same role for 50 years.
Okay, there you go. I'll take that. She was, she was foxy when she was fucking with what's his name, Miles Davis.
Oh yeah.
She was foxy then.
Yeah.
Now he used to beat the shit out of her, but
She went through all that, still living. Yeah.
Yeah, came out on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm just
Cool.
trying to be
Well,
shaped
that's
like
all I got.
What did you say, Chastity? I mean,
I'm trying to
Chastity?
be shaped like Halle Berry's mom. She looks great.
Oh yeah, she does look good.
Man,
What is she?
Yeah.
Not only Halle Berry's mama look good, Jada Pinkett mama look good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, to be honest, her mama looks younger than
Jada
her.
Pinkett's
Yeah.
mom.
What? The Jada Pinkett? Jada
Yeah,
Pinkett look like
Jada
she's a vegan.
Pinkett's
Her face all sunken in and shit.
Oh, it's Botox.
Botox
Yeah,
is it?
Yeah, it should be Botox in the mouth.
Jada Pinkett's mom? I'm talking about Jada
Huh?
Pinkett's mom.
Yeah.
Her weird ass kids. Can't hear you, man. You in and out, bro. What you say? Mic check, 1, 2. All right, musical break.
Actually,
Bro, the music break.
I'm thinking about the song that should be playing. It should be "Icon Living," the Icon song by Jaden.
Oh, I was
Smith.
playing the All-Star song by
I like
Kendrick
that
Lamar. That's the song I'm playing.
Oh, okay. I was thinking more like Icon. It would have tied in well.
All right, and we're back. All right. Any last words?
If you haven't thought of a plan, then think of one. Just what's the saying? If you
fail to plan,
you plan to fail. Boom.
There you go.
There it is. And that's all I can say. I mean, even though you can make plans and God will laugh at them, but at least you have some sort of strategy in place. That's what I say.
Gotta have a plan. Make sure you have life insurance as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's no more fish fries or no more funerals.
Look, please don't ask for a GoFundMe. Like,
Yep.
I contributed to one this year, but it was like a super extreme circumstance. But generally speaking, no, I'm not contributing to your GoFundMe. So please don't tag me. Don't.
I'm trying to start a new company though. What about?
I don't care. Well, specifically for life insurance, maybe if you have like a crowdfunding thing, that's different.
Yeah.
Like a GoFundMe to rate and you've been stunting on the gram for the past 10 years. You've been stunting on the gram talking about how you balling out of control, and you didn't have no money to bury you. You didn't have $2,000 to have your ass buried.
A shoebox, something.
No. Goodbye.
Give me a GoFundMe to do my bucket list. Oh. Yes.
Girl, Bill, get your grandma on this phone. All right, and I guess that concludes another episode of He Said, She Said. Do right by your family, because that's all you got. And I wrote a song about it. Y'all want to hear it?
Sure.
Here you go.
See, it's already done.